everyone, welcome to Watch It Paint It. In this video I want to talk to you and look at playing board games remotely over the internet. The world currently, the condition we are in and the lockdown situations we're all facing, the fact it doesn't look like that's about to change anytime soon, unfortunately. I think it's time. We want to play board games, we want to hang out with our friends some more. So it's time to look at playing some of them over the internet remotely so we can connect with our friends again. So in this video I thought I would let you know some of our favourite games. We've tried out a few over the internet and some of them work, some of them don't work. So I'm going to go through ones that we've done so far that do work. I'll just let you know now that there will be links in the description below if you like the look of any of these games or haven't thought of it and would like to pick up a copy to play. And there'll be affiliate links, so it will support the channel just ever so small amount, but it would be massively appreciated. So I'm going to go through the games really just in the order in which we've discovered them. They're not weighted like one's better than the other per se. We could do that, but it's only been a couple of weeks, so we've not got a huge opinion which game's better. We've just tried some, and these are the ones that do work. So starting about 2 weeks ago, we tried Dungeons and Dragons. Now, many of you will already know on the channel that I've never ever played Dungeons and Dragons. We're now stuck at home, so I'm willing to do anything that passes some time in an enjoyable manner. And one of our patrons, Scott, offered to be a dungeon master for us, and it was an absolute blast. I can't stress how much I enjoyed it. And he made it very simple, and I think probably most dungeon masters, DMs, doing so would try and bring newbies in at a nice comfortable level. I didn't have to act anything out. He produced me a character up front, actually gave me some choices of several, and I picked the one that I felt I would be able to comfortably pretend to be, and it was great, and it passed many hours, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. Hopefully a lot of you already know some DMs. I actually know at least 4 that I can think of, and after playing with Scott, I actually messaged 2 of them and asked if they ever get a spare slot in their remote play groups. I would love to join if they can, and one of them's got back to me, and I'll be playing with him very soon. So Dungeons and Dragons, if you've never played it and you've got anybody that will teach you, it's great, guys. Give that a try, and time just absolutely flies by. I think as a bonus as well, it actually worked really well online for me because I just got to hide behind my screen. I wasn't uncomfortable, there was no anxiety. So a few days later after this, we decided to try out Tabletop Simulator. Now, I think it was on sale. It might have missed out the sale. If you guys haven't tried it, it is a Steam game on the computer, which allows you to have a virtual games table and put out virtual games. And a lot of these games are free, and you just pay for Tabletop Simulator, and then you can play these games. Now, most of them, especially the free ones, aren't sort of scripted, so you have to manage the game exactly the same as you were at home. You have to put the right pieces in the right places, move them around correctly, that sort of thing. But that's exactly how we play board games. For me, myself, I've only used it a handful of times now. I find it pretty unintuitive how to control the things, but you do get used to it. And it is a way of playing board games remotely very easily. And some games probably are even better because it might shuffle decks for you faster than you could in real life. So that works quite well. I think you do get used to it, but personally I prefer to play the board game myself. But having said that, we did play Pandemic, and we played Pandemic on TTS, and it worked completely fine. It took about as long as playing a normal game of Pandemic would do, give or take. Some controller issues, working out how to rotate and see all the way around and set up the board. And then sometimes it was a little bit difficult to see how many tokens were on it, but I'm talking about myself, and I was playing at a laptop on a small screen quite far away, not really able to comfortably play it, so it might just be my experience, and it was certainly better than not being able to play a game. So hopefully I'll get more used to TTS, but it made me think Pandemic probably is one of those that you could play with a webcam, have it face down on the board. One person with that board would have to control all the pieces, so you're going to have to find somebody who's comfortable and happy enough to move everybody's pieces around for them. But the rest of the players can just sit and watch the game and make decisions, and it'll play nicely, which led me on to thinking probably most cooperative games would play fairly well remotely. So you're talking about Zombicide, Subterra, probably not Massive Darkness because there's just so much board. Anything that you can get a small enough footprint on the table where everybody can see enough of the board to be able to make decisions and play the game. As long as one person's happy enough setting that up in their house, setting up a webcam face down, looking at it and moving all the pieces around, I think most cooperative games will play really nicely. I'm definitely going to be trying out some more. I think Zombicide will play well. Probably don't want too many players on that because there'll be a lot of micromanaging dashboards and moving lots of pieces around, and probably playing some of the small footprint scenarios. You don't want to have the 9-tile game. Maybe it depends on the resolution of your camera and that sort of thing, and people's screens at home. But that is cooperative games, I think, as a whole, are going to work really well. After these two games, Pandemic and D&D, we deviated slightly from board games, and what happened was Drawful 2 became free to play on Epic, whatever that is, and Steam. Hopefully it's still free. I'll leave a link below so you can check it out. Now, Drawful isn't strictly a board game as it is a computer game, but it's basically a drawing board game that you play on the computer. If you guys aren't familiar with it, you have one screen, which is the sort of server, which everybody needs to have a view of. So I'm just sharing my screen so everybody can see the game running on my Steam. And then every other player just needs to be able to see that via the screen share and have their phone or tablet to be able to connect to it and do the drawing. So you set up a server, everybody goes to a website, types in the code, and then you're all connected, and you take it in turns to draw something that's ridiculously difficult to draw. And it's supposed to be difficult, and it's quite funny. The worse you are at drawing, the better, really. The next round is everybody then guesses what you've drawn and types that in. So you've got a load of guesses on the drawing. And then the third and final round is all of those guesses are displayed along with the real answer, and everybody takes a vote and picks which they think is the actual real answer. And then people get points if you tricked somebody into thinking your answer was actually the real answer. And so because the things are difficult to draw and people are bad at drawing, then they're quite believable. You often have a drawing that you can't really tell what it is, and it ends up looking more like the fake answer somebody's given after the fact than actually what you were trying to draw. So it's a very, very funny game. The more players you've got, the better, the funnier it is, because the more answers there are and the closer they are, and somebody's going to hit it bang on for you and say what you think that picture looks like, and you're going to be like, yeah, that's the one, that's real. It's very, very funny, guys. Not strictly a board game, but it works really, really well remotely, and it's very enjoyable. And if it's still free, I'll leave a link, then it's well worth a go, and it's pretty easy. Let me know in the comments below if you would like a video on how to play that remotely, because it's easy, but if you're not technical, you might not know exactly what to do, and I'm happy to explain that in more detail. Drawful 2 led us on to thinking, this is a party game, I bet party games work well remotely. So we had a look through our collection, realised Codenames, we love Codenames, it's one of our favourite party games. Most of our games group enjoy Codenames, and I think it would work really well remotely, and it does. So we got it. If you guys don't know what Codenames is, it's a 25-word grid, and you split into 2 teams. Some of those words belong to one team, some of those words belong to the other team, and each team has a spy master, and they're able to see which words on that grid belong to their team. They then give one-word clues to describe as many of those words in one go as they can. The next team can see, well, the next spy master can see which words belong to their team, and again gives a one-word clue to describe as many as they can. You take it in turns back and forth until one team has got all of their words, and that's it. It's fairly simple, and again plays quite easily remotely, especially if a house has both spy masters in. So myself and my wife can play on one team each, and then we're both the spy masters. We can see the card that has the layout on, and we can give the clues to everybody else, split into teams remotely, and they then just can discuss amongst themselves which words they think are. So it plays, honestly, probably better than it does in real life, as long as you've got a webcam that can face down on those boards, because in real life you're like sat all over the room and it's harder to see the words, but remotely you can just orientate it so everybody can see the words the right way up. Let me know in the comments below if you find that, despite the fact it's printed both ways, one of those ways is considerably harder to read, and I end up reading it the upside down way every time. Let me know if you agree with that. It's no reason for it, but it happens every time. Anyway guys, Codenames works beautifully well, and it's really, really fun. That's a great one to play remotely with. Concept is the next game we played, and guys, if you don't know what Concept is a game where you're describing a word from the cards using concepts and concepts alone for your team to guess. You split into teams, and then a player will draw a card from the deck, and you're presented with a load of words, and you have to describe what you pick. One of these words, easy, medium or hard, and you describe it using concepts alone. Now the concepts are all keyed, and each player can see a key, so you can send them a copy of it, take a picture with your phone if you're playing it remotely like we are, and then you're trying to describe the word on the card. So for example, let's say the word was chainsaw. We might take the marker to indicate what the players are looking for and indicate that it is a tool, so they know they're looking for a tool. Now that you would go on to describe that tool further, and you might say it's mechanical, so they're looking for a tool that is mechanical, it cuts things, and what does it cut? Wood. So you can lay them down in the correct order as well, which helps indicate that they're looking. This indicates what you're actually looking for. So they're always looking for a tool, and the cues indicate that what builds up, what constructs, what concepts are involved in that tool. And hopefully they would get chainsaw and you'd get a point. Now, we've had concept for a long time, and we loved the concept of Concept 4. It was absolutely fantastic. This is a perfect sort of game that we'd enjoy. The execution just wasn't. I found that different players can play at different levels, and some people take it quite quickly, and as the concepts get more and more difficult, some players just can't cope, so then you've got to play easier versions, but then they're just way too easy to people who can do it. On top of that, you get the cards, and they've got easy, medium, and hard, but you don't get any more points for doing harder ones or anything like that. So we just didn't get along with the game. We've maybe only played it twice. Now that we're playing remotely, and just in nature, playing remotely means that you want to play and have to play a bit more casually. It's a bit harder with all the distractions of people's houses in the background. You're not looking for a hardcore gaming session, not with the effort of all the technology in between. So Concept's just working really, really well. Anybody can play it. We have people playing who aren't board gamers, don't care, but just want to pass some time, enjoy some time together, chatting in the background and trying to decipher what this is in the foreground. It works really, really well. If I'm the person giving the clues, I just look at the card off camera. I then lay out the clues as such, and the rest of my team guess. If somebody else is giving the clues, we just ask everyone to look away, reveal the card to the camera. They can write down, screenshot, remember what it is they're trying to describe, and then they just let me know where to place pieces and in what order and that sort of thing. So it works fantastically well, and it's really, really good to say. We never played this before. We played it 10 times more than we've ever played it before since we've been playing remotely. Basically, so much so, in fact, that one thing we've realised playing games remotely is we've all got kids, and they all want to sort of join in if we're trying to play in the day, and not that many games work that well for both adults and kids. But Concept have brought out a kids version, which is it's basically the same. It's just a lot simpler, and everything's to do with animals. All the cards have an animal on them, so the kids are only doing animals. You can see the icons are much bigger. There's much less icons. It actually works better remotely than the real Concept, just because they're easier to see. And then the pieces they put the children can place down to indicate that it's a medium speed, it's an angry animal, it lives on a farm, the colours this sort of thing. So they're giving you a clue for the animals. There's no words, so they don't need to be able to read. It's 4 years plus, which is perfect. And they don't even need to know what the animal is, because they can see it's yellow with brown spots, so spots, and you do yellow and brown. If hopefully they know that that's a fast animal, they can do it as fast, that sort of thing. But they can pick them up quite easily as what these are. And obviously, if you're at separate houses, the adults can help if required. But basically, it's a game that the kids can play and the adults can also still guess, because some of them were any difficult ones here. Like Slug was quite hard for me to guess, and Sophie described it perfectly using the concepts, and I was still like, what even is that? And then you eventually clicks and you've got it. So this game's working as well as the proper concept remotely. It's working really well, and we get to involve our kids, which is making playing remotely a lot easier, a lot more fun, and you can play it in the day and you don't have to wait up and that sort of thing. So massively enjoying Concept, and even more enjoying Concept Kids. Now, before I move on to the last game that we've played, and arguably the best game that we've played remotely, I just wanted to do an honourable mention to Sherlock Holmes, because I saw that you can play this remotely. Now, guys, if you don't know what Sherlock Holmes is, I'm not going to explain completely how to play, but it is a game where you're working cooperatively to read through a case of Sherlock Holmes. You get a load of information, a story, basically, about what's happened, and then you go around, try not to spoil anything there, you go around visiting places, and the case gives you statements made by the person who lives in that location where you're going to visit, and there's a big map that you can travel around and work out things, and you basically go around using all of the source material to work out what happened, how the case has come about, who murdered who, that sort of thing. And it's absolutely lovely and fantastic. Check out some reviews of this game if you've never seen. Now, the company has released everything for free on their website, that you can play this game. All that you need is one person to own the real game, because that one piece of it is missing that not every player needs. It's like the case book itself is maybe missing, so they have to read out all the things. I actually can't remember which piece is missing, so somebody has to own the actual copy. And if you like solving mysteries, it's kind of like an escape roomy style game where you're just trying to work out a load of clues, evidence, gather it, to fill in a questionnaire at the end, which proves that you're smarter than Sherlock Holmes. So I've not played this remotely, but I know it will work well. And I saw that they released, while I was making this video, all of the content for free. So you just need one copy and you can share the digital copies with everybody else, and that it'll work well. And so just letting you know that this one, because you might already have this game and didn't realize you can now play it remotely very easily. Right, so the last and arguably the best game that we've played remotely is Just One. It's won awards, guys. You know it's good. What's this? Is this Dice Tower? Best party game. And as I said, party games work well over remote connectivity. Now, this only plays up to 7 players, so there is a finite number of people. Actually, that's not true. The boxed game only plays up to 7 players. There's no limit on how many people you could actually have playing this game. Let's have a look at the back just so you guys know how to play, because this is the one, guys. If you want a new game to play remotely, this is our favorite. So I may as well explain how you play it, just in case you've never heard of it. So there's a bunch of cards in the box, and you pick a number. That's just to randomize games through, so you can play this many, many, many times. But there's 5 words on each. Let's say you pick number 2. The word is circus. The person whose turn it is not allowed to see this word. So you show the card to everybody else remotely. You just hold it up to the camera. Don't look at it. Then everybody else writes down a word to help describe this. So the word circus, and they've written clown, clown, tent, and arena. The next thing is all those people look at the answers and compare and remove any duplicates. So clown, clown disappears. Then the final phase is the guessing phase. Any of the unique answers, arena and tent here, are held up to the person who's guessing, so he or she can now see it, and then they try and guess circus. It's as simple as that. The way you need to do it remotely, if only one of you have got the words, they just need to work out who it is who's not allowed to see the word, and have them just look away until you say otherwise. Maybe even, depending what remote connectivity video tool you're using, you can just blank their view of everything for a moment, that sort of thing. So just guys, it's cooperative, and who you cheat and don't cheat, just don't look at the screen, that sort of thing. Guys, let's have a look at what's inside the box, and lo and behold, this is interesting, but it's brand new. It's still sealed, and that is because we weren't actually playing the official game. Like, the words on a card can just be generated with a random word generator of some sort. Just pick a word and share it between you. It doesn't have to be used here. Obviously, we can't use the boards because we're not together anyway, so we're just using a piece of paper and a pen. People hold that up to the screen. It's as simple as that. The only reason I've bought the game is because the game's so good. I felt like they deserved some money, so I've paid some money for them. Don't actually need it. Obviously, now I've got the cards. We will be using the cards. We won't be using the rest of the game, but the cards will make it easier. That's faster than using a word generator, and it's going to make sure, hopefully, the words all make sense and are playable. Sometimes you get words that you just can't describe that easily, but describe anything, right? Make it as hard as you want, but felt like they deserve some money, so we bought it. And this is arguably the best game. It's quick, easy. Anyone can play it. Everybody understands it. It takes 3 seconds. I've explained the rules on the back of the box, and that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys, that is everything. As I mentioned, there's links in the description below to pick up any of these games. And if you'd like to support the channel and check out Patreon, we do have a Discord channel, and a lot of these games are being played there, and you can join in these games by all means. Let us know in the comments below if you've got any better, or it doesn't even have to be better. Let us know if you've got any good suggestions for games that are working well remotely, or if you'd like to join in. Maybe we can stream some of these games so you can watch, or like I say, check out the Patreon, join and hit Discord, and let me know that you would like to join in some games, and we'll be playing some Drawful, we'll be playing some Just One in the near future, and that sort of thing. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Hope you're staying home, staying safe out there, and we'll get through this soon. And if you're watching it after the coronavirus crisis, the pandemic, then hopefully you've just got another way of playing some games when you're not all able to be together. Thank you all ever so much for watching. I'll see you again next week.